Christy and I are going to make what flavor is it? Sangria.
Pass one around.
So an Italian ice, but it's a alcohol Italian ice. Christy formulated this, as she does many of our new flavors. I'm not saying she likes to have alcohol at home. Who doesn't? But she has a machine and I don't, so she comes up with these fantastic flavors.
What are the laws in regards to using alcohol? Because I know, like in our cookies, when we use the moonshine, the alcohol burns off.
Yeah.
So there's not an adulteration of the product. But in ice cream, it's not going to be burning off.
That's right. And so it's become very common now. But it didn't used to be common. When Jeff started, it was uncommon. Now it's not really a problem. Every state has a legal limit of what you can put in, and they're basically calling it an ingredient. Think of it like a bakery. They've been making baba rum since there was the history of bakeries, and nobody ever questioned it, and yet it's got rum in it. You find out from your state what the legal limit is. Maybe it's going to be, 3% by volume, some mathematical thing that I don't even understand. And then just make sure you're 1/10 below that 3%. So when they come in and ask you, you can say, oh, well, the legal limit's 2.9. So that's going to handle that. But there just isn't a problem with doing it as long as you keep under their legal limit. And the legal limit's pretty generous. You're going to find out that you can put a fair amount. We're the only machines I know that you can put alcohol right in. Everybody else adds it as it's coming out and stirs it in, and then it melts your ice cream. We have so much refrigeration power, as you'll see when we take the tour, that alcohol goes right in here. I use, in the bigger machine, I usually use a fifth to a liter of alcohol. In this one, I use about a pint because you can overdo it. You can make it to a point where you taste the ice cream like that because it's got too much. And if you do that, you're probably way over the legal limit. And you're probably going to need a sign that says you must be over 21 years of age to consume this ice cream and we proof. And that's a bonus because the alcohol ice cream is going to cost more. So now, here's your regular flavors and then the over 21. And you can have fun with it. You can be a wise ass. You can have someone my age come in and say, well, I don't know, we're going to have to see your ID. And it's funny. So
there's not even nowhere near the amount of alcohol to get drunk by eating one little cup of ice cream.
Now.
Nowhere near. So am I good?
Yeah.
Okay. When you work with wines or sangrias or liqueurs, you can add a little bit more than you can if you're working with like a vodka or a, like flavored vodkas or
the Malibu?
Moonshine, yes, or Everclear, things like that. You really can't, or Jack Daniels. You have to kind of shy off on those and do like a half a cup or a cup because the proof is so high. When you work with, wines and sangrias, which is a spiked juice, you can do half and half. So you can also do this with a wine. You can do half wine, half water, which is what we're going to do with the sangria. Everybody loves the sangria. If you have your own homemade recipe that you love, that you make, or your aunt or your grandma or your mom, use that recipe as well. I've been to plenty of bars where they make a fantastic sangria, and I wish I had the recipe. But in the meantime, we're going to use this store-bought Yago. I don't know how you say it. Anyway, so I've got my 2 quarts of water. You don't need fancy water. You don't need filtered water, distilled, vaporized, anything like that. Just plain old basic tap water. We're going to pour this in here till we get to 4 quarts. I get to have the rest, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But here's the secret. She's measuring. She's not asking you how much are we going to pour in and then just pour in the whole bottle.
Yeah.
Though she's getting... I didn't say anything. Measuring counts because you want it the same every single time.
If you've got stinky water, definitely go buy that jugged water. I don't want to eat Italian ice with stinky egg water.
Real fast. If you're in a town like Brooksville and everybody grew up here, they don't know they have stinky water because they grew up here. It's what they drink. If you're in Miami, you got to filter the water because it's all us annoying New Yorkers coming down and we're complaining about the stinking water. So look at your market. If it's locals, you're good. If it's all tourists, filter the water. That's simple.
And then I've already got my 2 pounds of sugar measured out. Now, you don't have to add the sugar to the mixture first before you put it into the machine, but we like to do that and kind of get a little bit dissolved. The reason is the sugar acts like sandpaper. So if I were to pour this juice water into there, I called it juice, sangria and the water into the machine, then poured the sugar right behind it, one, the sugar is going to stick to the throat and kind of stick all over everything. And then as the machine's spinning, it acts like sandpaper. It's not going to destroy your machines, not going to destroy your blades if you decide to do that. It's just, instead of your blades lasting you, 5 years, this will only last you maybe 3 if you continuously keep doing it. Jeff will beg to differ on that because he's always doing it. But that's good. We just need to get the sugar wet and we're ready to go.
Jeff gets such severe discounts on parts that he doesn't care.
Now,
See, Christy immediately checked that the gate was open and closed it. Otherwise, it's going all over the floor. And I've done it on live TV plenty of times.
Yeah. So notice that we're doing 4 quarts. It actually made it a little more than 4 quarts because of the sugar that we did add. I set the bowl down. I'm going to give it a good little stir. When you're working with what? Non-dairy products, we can add a little bit more than normal because there is no expansion.
And again, Christy's raising the bucket up. If you rest it on the lip here, it's more likely to spill out the sides. But if you hold it up like that, no problem.
All right.
Not a drop.
So we're going to go ahead and do this. We can hit more recipes and hit Italian ice and start. Now we can go ahead and start freezing. I like to buy the frozen fruit instead of the fresh fruit. A couple reasons. One, frozen fruit's always picked at its season. It's always in season when it's frozen. It's very fresh when they pick it and they freeze it. What do they call it?
Instant quick frozen.
Yeah,
IQF.
IQF. That's what it is. Product. So, also, reason number 2 is when the berries thaw, it's kind of hard to see, but I'm sure you guys all know, it creates its own natural sweet juice in here. And it creates like a berry syrup, almost like. And even if you wanted to, you could open up your berries that you buy and throw them in a tub and sprinkle some more sugar on it so it makes some more natural sugar juice. And you can pour that into your ice cream, your ices, your sorbets. It's amazing. If you have a place where you live and it's peach festivals or strawberry festivals, go ahead, buy the fresh peaches, buy the fresh strawberries and use it. That's always a great local thing that you can see whenever you're at an ice cream store or frozen dessert, made with Brooksville's homegrown peaches, things like that. That's always good to do as well. So we're going to go ahead and add our berries. This is blackberries, blueberries, raspberries, and strawberries. Kind of what you'd find in a sangria.
And that came from Walmart, and it's a Walmart brand. You don't have to buy Dole pineapple or some other expensive brand because we're not putting it in a champagne glass and serving it as dessert. You want the name brands for dessert because they look better. They're prettier fruit. They're rated by how good they look. We don't care how it looks. It's going to be ground up here. So we're buying the store brand. It saves some money, but it's just plain convenient. They always have it.
Sangria has oranges, right? Here's some off-brand Grand Marnier. Let's add a splash. I think that's good. Now we talked about freeze times when we work with sugar. We just added alcohol, we added 2 pounds of sugar, and we added fruit, which is more sugar. So we're gonna have a pretty high freeze time on this. I'm gonna guesstimate anywhere from 16 to 18 minutes. When you work with anything that has, very high alcohol, where I think sangria is around 12%, and you diluted it with, exactly half of that of water, you should be all right. You try to do that with a bottle of Jack, it's not going to work out so well. You can't add that much Jack in a small machine. A whole bottle of Jack, I think you can do pretty good okay in this one, as long as you got an entire bladder of ice cream going in there. Any questions?
The alcohol never freezes because alcohol freezes at about minus 270 degrees. But it stays in suspension within the product. So we have enough, as I mentioned before, enough freezing power in here to freeze everything else in there so that the alcohol will hold up very nicely. So you'll see the end result.
And I get asked, you know, I brought it up before, how do I come up with my boozy ice recipes? I scroll through Facebook, social media, Instagram, and I see, you know, the pretty little drinks that people are posting, or, you know, even liqueur companies that are posting their drinks. And I read the ingredients, what it takes to make that drink, and I'm like, well, I can make that into Italian ice. You know, I came up with one, it was called a Florida Hurricane. Oh my gosh, it was my favorite. That's also in the book. It is blue curacao, makes it the most sea foam green you've ever seen. Pineapple juice, cream of coconut, and what else? Oh, and whipped cream vodka. The best stuff I've ever had in my life. You know, and that was a drink. It was just a simple little drink. How you can come up with them. And then, of course, just walking down the aisles, and even the bottles themselves have recipes. I'm a big cook. I cook a lot. I bake a lot. So a recipe thing is what I do.
You know, it was about 6 or 7 years ago, everybody was calling what we're doing alcohol-infused ice cream. You know, I'm thinking, well, that's interesting. You fill a syringe and Jack Daniel and like that. I mean, it was just such a highbrow name that it just annoyed me. And then this one lady calls up one day and she goes, "Can I make boozy ice cream with your machine?" And I started laughing. You can't help but laugh about the term boozy. So yes, we're doing boozy ice cream. It just sounds like a lot of fun, and it's great. People love it. It's not so much that it's a mixed drink, but it's enough to give you a great and different, unique flavor. Strawberry daiquiris.
And even when you're making ice cream, adding alcohol, I make a fantastic Irish cream cake. It has Bailey's liqueur in it. You can do the same thing. You can make a Bailey's ice cream. Or a coffee Kahlua. You can add, I've done that many times. You can add instant coffee. Have we talked about that yet?
No.
Did you want to?
Go ahead.
Okay. Pardon me. So whenever you're making, to finish the coffee Kahlua, you would do instant coffee and then you would add your Kahlua to make a Kahlua coffee ice cream. It's amazing. So there are all different kinds of coffee, your fresh ground coffee, you know, and your instant coffee. Well, that's your thing. I had vanilla. You can still use it though. But instant coffee is always the best way to go when you're making a coffee ice cream. Instant coffee is designed to dissolve. Some people do a cold brew coffee. They'll buy themselves like a little cold brew pot and they'll brew it and then they'll make their ice cream with that. I have learned, Steve taught me to use this instant coffee and it dissolves beautifully. It turns it a light brown color. It looks like coffee. It smells like coffee and it's great. There is a slight bitterness to it when you're working with this, and Steve's favorite thing to add to it is a couple squirts of Hershey syrup to get rid of the bitterness, while I like to add a couple splashes of vanilla to get rid of the bitterness. So it's a preference. You can each do whichever you want. You can taste it. You can try it. Yes. Have I tried French press coffee? I've personally drank it, but not in an ice cream, no.
You're just going to water down the ice cream or the ice because it's liquid. We're adding just a pure powder. So no, you don't want to use real coffee. It's too much work, and it's not going to do that good a job for you.
He's done it one time, and I still prefer instant coffee over actual brewed coffee that's been steeped, and I don't care how fancy you name it, how long you said you steeped it for. It's from Columbia Hills now. Just use $7 instant coffee.
I told you before that, you know, everybody steals my ice cream from the insurance broker to the bankers. Everybody who comes in here, I just never seem to have any ice cream. And my sister, when she moved down here from Chicago, told her, don't take any ice cream. So what does she do? She takes home some of my coffee ice cream made with the taster's choice, and then I don't see her for 3 days.
By the cat.
I got, and she's haven't seen her for 3 days, and she comes into the factory and she looks all haggard and worn out. I said, "What happened to you?" I said, "I got hungry, so I ate a pint of your coffee ice cream before I went to bed. I've been up 3 days." So I switched and I bought the decaf, because think about it, you eat ice cream oftentimes at night before you go to bed. I know I do. When Paula's going off to sleep, I'm there sneaking my own ice cream. You use the taster's choice, it's not going to make, and I'm a coffee snob. I wouldn't drink this if it was the last coffee on earth. But I make it with the taster's choice, and now there's very little decaf in it. So that's just a little trick.
Now I have,
Go on.
I have made coffee ice cream and put a scoop and then put a cold brew ice coffee and poured it on top, you know, and just had like a like a coffee ice cream with some coffee syrup, I guess you should call it. And that was very, very good.
And you took one of my formulas and you added covered espresso beans.
Yes,
that
chocolate
was cool.
covered espresso
That was
beans.
great.
Yeah, those are very good. So we're pushing almost 12 minutes.
13 would be the normal freeze time, so
So we'll do a cutoff check and kind of see. Whoops, shot out at me.
yeah, it's got
Anyway.
a while.
Got a little, oh, that's so good.
Like you said, because of the extra sugar and the alcohol, yes.
Have you guys ever done any of the ice creams using ice cream syrups? Or not, sorry, the coffee syrups like French vanilla or hazelnut or...
I only heard coffee syrup. What was the other part?
Have you guys ever made the ice creams using the coffee syrups, like the big huge pumps of them?
No, I haven't. Again, Taster's Choice or Folgers or any of the freeze-dried, they're real coffee. Anything else is going to be just a coffee flavor that they add sugar to. So it's not the real deal. Do be careful. These come with a 25-cent coupon inside, and if you're just pouring it in the machine, so goes the coupon. And now you've lost your 25 cents. And it doesn't add flavor to the ice cream. Yes.
Unrelated to this particular flavor, but address dipping cabinets. I know you had said something about not having the dipping cabinets where people can see it, but I think that I probably will use the dipping cabinets so people can see the tubs of ice cream, but where to get them, a specific kind. But I know the ones that we have now, they've got bars in the middle and they're in the way of dipping all the time, and then trying to adjust the freezer temperature is like a guess rather than being, I think they may make some that have digital thermometers on them now that make it easy. Just give your thoughts on dipping cabinets.
On dipping cabinets, my personal thought would be don't buy Italian dipping cabinets. They are absolutely gorgeous. When a normal cabinet costs $3,000 or $4,000, they cost $35,000 to $40,000, and it's a whole different construction. At the end of the day, in a gelateria over in Milan or Florence, the employee pulls out the Windex, cleans this, cleans that, cleans this. At the end of the day, in an American ice cream parlor, the employee takes out the Windex bottle, throws it at the dipping cabinet, and says, "You better damn well work tomorrow." I mean, it's a different construction. I use Kelvinator, is a good American-made cabinet.
Kelvinator?
Kelvinator. And my favorite is a company called Nelson. The full name is C as in Charlie and then Nelson. I have over in the corner a Nelson cabinet. I just bought a new lid for it. The lid wore out. It was a $200 lid. It wore out after 23 years. So I'm not too complaining about that. I mean, it's still going very strong. I'll be with you in a minute. It's going strong, and I think either Kelvinator or Nelson has cabinets that can mimic the looks of the American one with the curved glass in the front. But I was talking to a man yesterday who had the Italian machines, and he was the one who said these things didn't last him 5 years because you can't get parts. They break down. They're very fancy. And he said that curved glass makes it a really difficult procedure to clean anything that's dropped towards the front, towards the public. So a more straight glass. I always liked the idea that years ago Swenson's ice cream parlors did out on the West Coast, where they bought just a straight Kelvinator, ugly white front, really not attractive, and they had a carpenter build a false front in front of it of just plywood and molding and stained it mahogany and made it bright and shiny, and it looked like the most expensive cabinet in the world, and behind it was just a plain old Kelvinator. You could see in and see the ice cream. And I think, yeah, you're right, because of the cookies. You buy cookies by looks. We can buy ice cream by signs. I look up, do you have my mint chip? And if you do, great, I'll take a mint chip. But for your particular business, yeah, I would go with some kind of visual, they call it a visual display cabinet, as opposed to the old-fashioned, the lid flopping over like that, or sliding back and forth.
Yeah, can you get it without the glass? Ours right now, currently, the doors slide on the top, and there's divider bars in there. It makes it difficult sometimes to get to the tub.
Yeah.
So where they're more open and less cumbersome.
Well, right behind you are, you can look, those are what I call the floppy door lids.
Oh, yeah.
that not only flop over onto themselves, but they also pull away.
We're ready.
This is ready, and then I'll get
We
back
are
to your
ready.
question.
We ready to see the pretty sangria? So we made it to about 16 minutes.
That's good. May I take that?
Sure. Okay.
Look at that! Look at that color. Isn't that beautiful? And there's no artificial anything in there. That's just gorgeous color. And it's a nice firm product ready to go right into the freezer. If you ran out and had to serve it, if you left it in the freezer for a couple hours, it would be just fine. But that's beautiful. All natural.
I'm gonna leave the gate open to let it
Okay.
keep coming out.